like I should confess something, and that is this. When I first started, nobody knew me. And if I said CNBC and Fast Enough and my first name, they invariably thought I was Stephanie Domet, and I got the interview.
I don't have a problem with that.
Is that true? I'd be like, I'm from CNBC, and my name is Stephanie. And then, oh my God, I love your show. And I'd be like, thank you.
You little liar,
Well,
you.
I didn't. I just said thank you, which I thought was gracious more than misleading.
Amazing.
But anyway,
Yeah.
So it's so wonderful to finally meet you. And I do, like, it's so funny because, we're here at this Doyle event, and so many people, I listen to you every day. Do you get that all the time?
Everywhere I go.
Is that true?
Which is great. I mean, I'm delighted that people listen to us every day.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Now, I find it incredibly daunting a task, your show. And I would imagine, do you have, ideas in your head all the time? Or people coming up to you going, I want to be a guest? Do you have, how does it all come together and so seamlessly? That's how it sounds.
Does it sound seamless?
It
Well,
does.
that's good. That's good. It doesn't feel seamless a lot of the time. But I work with an amazing team of producers. I have two really talented producers on my show, Alex Mason and Katie Parsons, working diligently behind the scenes, and of course our technical producer who's also on air, Bill Roach. So among the four of us, every day is a new day at
Yes.
Main Street, right? Because
And
you're
it starts
an
again.
afternoon show, so
And you
it's
can't
whatever
just-
happens that day.
And you can't just sit there and go, yay, what a great show, because you're on to the next one, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's a little bit, on the afternoon show, I love it because at 6 o'clock, when the show's over, your day's over.
Okay.
You don't have to worry. Whatever happens overnight, this is the morning show's problem. And then you're just going to deal with the things that happen while you're awake at work, And that's cool. And if something breaks while you're on air, you're going to deal with it.
Right.
It's going to be fine. You do the best you can. It's never going to be the exhaustive, I try to remind some of my colleagues of this. We're all really driven perfectionists. We
Yes.
want to get everything, But I think of it as an ongoing conversation. And each day we're going to contribute a little bit more to the ongoing conversation on 6 or 8 topics.
Right.
Which is crazy now that I say that out loud. That
It
is
is.
actually a crazy ambition.
Well, I wonder because, with me, I sort of focus, obviously I celebrate the East Coast and I celebrate entertainment, but you really are like everything from health to politics to local events and everything. Is there any one particular area that you love more, or do you need to have all of it? What's the...
I feel like I'm really, personally, naturally into a lot of things. And the show, although it is this creation of the four of us, quite collaboratively, I have noticed that the things that I'm enthusiastic about are the things that my team will prioritize, which is really lovely. But also, I have a vague sense of who's listening, and I want to try to talk about the things that they want to talk about.
Right.
Because radio is a three-way conversation. It's the host and the guest and the listener.
Right.
And so, the listeners let us know in various ways if they're interested in what we're doing.
Yes.
And if there's something that they think we should be talking about that we're not talking about, we definitely take that into account, But there's so much to be interested in, and
Right.
I'm curious about a lot of things.
Right.
I'm interested in education and sustainability and the environment and food and obviously culture and politics. I'm
Right.
crazy for politics
Yeah.
and development. I'm into architecture, all those things.
So.
And so they just, we kind of find a way, and social issues, we find a way to cram all that into that,
And you're-
rolling 3-hour
Right.
omnibus.
Train. You grab on and
which
go.
is going to crush you if you're not, if you don't look smart, basically,
Right.
if you're not
Well,
quick on your feet.
And you are that. So let me ask you this, because I follow you on Twitter. How, in the sweet name of all that's good and holy, did you find time to write a book, not to mention 2?
Yeah, so I didn't really find the time. I wouldn't say I found the time.
No.
And I don't feel like I made the time
Oh, come
either.
on.
I think I must have stolen the time from other things that I maybe would have. I don't know what those things are. Probably
Okay.
staring out the window is something I very
Really?
much like to do. With my first book, with homing, the first draft was easy because I did it for National Novel Writing Month as an item for DNTO, definitely not the opera,
Right,
which
yeah.
was the first show I worked on at CBC. And so, it was really easy. I just mostly procrastinated through most of the month and then did what I describe as stunt writing, where
Right.
in the final weekend of November, which is National Novel Writing Month, I wrote probably 35,000 words. I don't recommend this. No,
Are you
this is
fueled
not
on caffeine and craziness, or what?
No, I was fueled on the possibility of failure and shame, which is what fuels everything I do that is good and worth doing.
Okay.
This has long been my approach. I've realized that if there's something I really want to do that I'm having trouble conquering, I just become really public about it. So I used to write a column in the Halifax Daily News, in the Sunday Daily News, and I used to be a smoker. And it occurred to me that I should probably stop smoking, and so I wrote a column about that, and it just gave me this like citywide accountability.
Right.
Because my picture was in the newspaper, and if somebody saw me with a cigarette in my mouth,
Right. You're put on notice.
yeah, so kind of same thing with the novel, where I've been a writer since I was 6 years old, but I really have trouble finishing. I'm a great starter, kind of suck at middles, and I'm really terrible with endings. So I had pitched, I would do this thing for National Novel Writing Month. Web 2.0 was kind of just getting started, and wouldn't this be such an interesting way to look at this thing online and also this creative process of writing a novel? And the team thought that, and I would report every Saturday on DNTO about it. And
Right.
my team thought, my colleagues thought that was a great idea, and I was like, yes, they loved my pitch. I gotta write a novel. Oh my
Right.
God. But it kept me really accountable because I knew I would have to go on national radio every Saturday and talk about how I was a failure otherwise. So that was helpful.
Okay.
And then with Falsy Downsies, my second book, my approach in that one was I've been writing it for a really long time, really slowly, with long periods of doing nothing.
It seemed like there was a hard deadline, though, wasn't there?
This is the failure and shame part of Falsy Downsies, was that I had a friend who was doing her MA in creative writing, and I was talking about how I was having so much trouble getting it done. She said, well, you should just adopt my deadlines. I'll tell you what my deadlines are and what the assignment is. So I was kind of fooling around with that, but I wasn't accountable to anybody.
Oh.
My publisher overheard us talking about it, and he said, when you're ready for a real deadline, let me know. So I texted him and said, I'm ready for a real deadline. So we signed a contract, and he gave me an advance, and I used it to buy Christmas presents for my family.
Oh, no.
So once you've done that, and you've signed
Ain't
a
no going back.
contract,
Yeah.
that says, I will give you, a 200-page book
Right.
by the 15th of February.
Right.
If you don't deliver that,
It's not good.
you have to give the advance back. You're contractually obligated. So that was motivating.
Right.
I did not want to fail and be ashamed and have to give him my advance back.
Yeah, no doubt.
Take back everybody's Christmas presents.
There you go.
So it was very deadline driven, which is really the only way I can have a full-time job and another full-time job.
Right, indeed. All right, well, you do it all great. Do you have a favorite guest that you've ever had?
A favorite guest? That would be like asking a mother to choose her favorite child.
Give me a couple that you've loved.
Okay, so I interviewed Burton Cummings, which was insane.
Yeah.
Because he's Burton Cummings,
Sure.
and my mother was a big fan. I grew up listening to his music, and he's like, he's pretty sure that he's awesome.
Yeah.
Like he's extremely sure of his own awesomeness.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's really something.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I've seen that.
And I really embarrassed myself, I'll tell you this, with Phil Kogan, who is the host of The Amazing Race.
Yes. Why?
Well, I just got oddly starstruck, which is not a thing that happens to me. I'm
He's
generally
very lanky, isn't he?
He's an extremely tall individual.
And lanky.
Short-waisted, lots of leg.
You never
all
see
leg.
Yes.
Yeah. No, this part there's nothing happening, but he's all leg. They start at his armpits, they go all the way to the floor. And he was doing something for CBC, some show. So he was going around the country talking to dopes like me. And he came in the studio, and I said the most ridiculous thing. I said, usually when I see you, you're on TV, so it's so weird that you're here. And we were live, right? Like, my mic wasn't on. It was during a tune. He came in, he just kind of looked at me, and he was like,
Seasoned
okay.
broadcast journalist falls apart.
Yeah, making it happen.
Love it.
Yeah, he was like, okay, where should I sit, Just had to try to get the train back on the tracks, so...
So you're human.
Oh, extremely. Most definitely.